Good morning. Good morning, kings and queens of the land. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to the liberated zones in Africa. Good morning to Burkina Faso, led by President Ibrahim Traore, and good morning to Mali, led by President Assimi Goita. Good morning to Niger, led by President Abdurrahman Tian. Good morning to the liberated zone in South Africa, KwaZulu Natal. This is under the British Empire. Under the British Empire, the British colony, South Africa, liberated zone in the British colony, South Africa, KZN, led by President Jacob Gedleyihlekisa Zuma, led by the MK Party. Good morning to the Royals. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for being part of us. Today we're talking about very important issue. We're talking about why. First, we will talk about two issues. The first one is we're talking about why do uh, Donald Trump or the USA wants um, Ibrahim Traore dead or alive. They want him arrested, according to reports. Um, uh, President Trump wants Traore arrested. Uh, we will talk about that. We will also talk about the minerals for peace in the DRC, minerals for peace deal in the DRC. Donald Trump entered into a deal with President Felix Tshisekedi of the DRC for mineral for peace in the DRC. We all know that the DRC has got massive richness on the planet. Let me first share this video.
Chairman Wicker, Ranking Member Reed, distinguished committee members, it's an honor to appear here today representing the outstanding service members, civilians, and families of United States Africa Command. As I get closer to the end of my tenure of command, I remain in awe of the character and capabilities of the men and women willing to serve our nation. Our team of soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, guardians, and civilians perform valiantly, and I'm honored and proud to serve with them. Point be known, America remains in good hands. I'm proud to testify with my good friend, General Chris Caboli, the Supreme Allied Commander in Europe and the Commander of the United States European Command. I'd like to extend my gratitude for his steadfast cooperation. As you know, EUCOM and AFRICOM share service components, and every day our teams are coordinating to solve some of our nation's toughest security issues. Also joining me today is a key member of the AFRICOM team, my command senior enlisted Sergeant Major Michael Woods, United States Marine Corps. His 32 years of experience provide me with the critical insight needed to understand the operating environment. And he shows our partners what true non-commissioned officer leadership looks like. I'm lucky to serve with him. Now, everything we do at the United States Africa Command has one overarching goal in mind: achieving peace through strength. Now, this requires three things: a clear understanding of national security threats, a robust and dependable network of like-minded allies and partners, and appropriate resourcing to match military requirements. Now, as I've said in previous testimony, Africa remains a nexus theater from which the United States cannot shift its gaze. It is home to terrorists who take advantage of conditions in Africa to grow and export their ideology. ISIS controls their global network from Somalia. It is where the Chinese Communist Party actively works to change the international rules-based order as a stepping stone to become the global hegemon. And it's where the Russian Federation seizes opportunities created by chaos and instability. Now, to protect our homeland and the United States' interests, we must deter these nations and their malign actors from their goals on the African continent. Many of our security and economic interests overlap with those of our African and European partners. Successful outcomes enabled by burden sharing are beneficial for all. And as a posture-limited theater, AFRICOM, we establish strength and work towards peace by enhancing the security capabilities of our African partners through a robust system of alliances, exercises, training events, security cooperation, and foreign military sales programs are the backbone of our military activities on the continent.
Thank you very much. We can we can clearly hear from the commander. The commander says the U.S. commander to Africa says Africa is a place where the U.S. cannot afford to shift its gaze to elsewhere. They clearly mention that Africa is a battleground where Russia, China wants to gain power over what America has at the moment. They are working actively to dispose the US in many African countries. That's what the commander here is actually reporting to their parliament in the USA. So the interest is very clear. The interest of the US in Africa is very clear. This commander that we're talking about, he recently, some few days ago, announced actually on this. They were asking him questions on this presentation, where he answered that Ibrahim Traore he's using the minerals, Burkina Faso's minerals, to protect himself instead of building Burkina Faso. That's what is reported. And after that, it is said that Donald Trump has ordered that Traore must be arrested. In the past 48 hours, Ibrahim Traore has survived another assassination attempt. Some few people were eliminated in a terror attack in another village in Burkina Faso. Ibrahim Traore, in reality, has changed a lot of things. He's commanded since he took over power. Ibrahim Traore took over power through the military. He removed the president who was sitting then, who was the French stooge, was working for the French people or for the French. Basically, was a sellout. Sellout president like Ramaphosa and like Tinubu, like Ruto, of Kenya, all of those people in the same line, like Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe, all of those people are people who are slave traders. They trade with their people. They trade with the people whom they are supposed to be helping. They trade with the people. They're not trading with them with the money. They're trading with the people that they are supposed to uplift. So the commander to the Africa Command from the US says Ibrahim Traore is using the resources of Burkina Faso to benefit himself, and consequently, they've issued an arrest warrant for Ibrahim Traore. They want him dead or alive. That's according to reports. President Ibrahim Traore has changed a lot of things since he took over in Burkina Faso. He has stopped the sale of raw material to Europe, especially minerals, imported minerals. He stopped the selling of the raw minerals, and he commanded that all minerals should be processed in Burkina Faso. All those who want to do mining in Burkina Faso should also do the mineral processing in Burkina Faso. He had initiated a lot of agricultural programs that had helped in just 1 year. President Ibrahim Traore has achieved food sufficiency. He has been able to pay the IMF full amount that Burkina Faso was owing, and has been able to pay the French all the money that Burkina Faso was owing in Europe. Because these nations, when you borrow money, they take gold as collateral. The US has some gold that belongs to Burkina Faso, and the French people have got gold that belongs to Burkina Faso. Now that Burkina Faso has paid up the debt, they don't want to pay back the collateral. Ibrahim Traore has requested that the gold that was taken as a collateral on the debt should be returned because the debt has been paid up. Instead of paying the debt, paying the money back, they have decided to attack him. He survived the 20th attempt on his life, the 20th assassination attempt in just over a year, in just over about, I think it's just about 18 months. Ibrahim Traore has survived 18 attempts in 20 attempts already on his life. So they want him arrested or they want him dead. That's very sad because many African leaders are not going to say anything about it. It's going to be people who are going to be talking about it online, and it's going to be that's the end of it when they successfully eliminate Ibrahim Traore at the end of the day. So in on that end, America seeks to take out Ibrahim Traore because Ibrahim Traore is refusing them to sell minerals to them without processing them in Burkina Faso. He is refusing to take their price setting, is determining his own price. But the main thing that Trump is fighting, the main issue that Trump is actually fighting against Ibrahim Traore and the other three like the other two members, the other two members of the AES, which is the Sahel States Alliance, meaning Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. They've united their armies. So they have already united their economies. They've got one passport. They share the passport of all these three nations. The population of the three nations is about 100 million combined. So about 100 million people uh, have decided to change their currency. They are changing their currency to use the African currency. They were using a currency that is printed in France. They call it CS France, CS, what is it called? CS France or something. That currency, which is printed in France, they've dished it out. They don't want to use that anymore. Burkina Faso has established its own bank and established a currency which will be backed by gold. Let's remember that Muammar Gaddafi was actually eliminated for that reason, for saying um, uh, Africa should have a currency which is backed by minerals. So Ibrahim Traore has implemented the dream of Muammar Gaddafi of Libya to create a currency which will be backed by gold. So on these three countries, the three countries have united to create a bank, a central bank, and which will have the interest of the three countries. And the three countries will be trading among themselves in their own currency, meaning they are now united to trade in their own currencies. Previously, if you want to buy something from Burkina Faso, if you are from Mali, you had to use US dollars. This time around, you are not bound to use US dollars. You can use, you are actually not going to use US dollars. You are forced to use the local currency because the local currency is for all the three states. So this unity eliminate the need of the dollar in their transaction. This is a problem. That's what Donald Trump does not want Africa to achieve, because it's a project of de-dollarization. That's what Trump is fighting. This is the reason why President Zuma was removed before finishing his term. It's the same reason why President Gaddafi was eliminated in a humiliating way. Uh, is the same reason now Ibrahim Traore is being attacked so much by the West and by. So we know all of the terrorist organization is formed by the U.S. Army, is formed by the USA, is created by the USA in order to create instability in all of these countries. They say insecurity has increased since the past how many years, and there's more need for them to be here. If they were useful, if indeed they were useful partners in Africa, they were not gonna we were not gonna have an increase of terrorism. They talk about ISIS. Donald Trump have said um, they created ISIS. They confirmed that they've created ISIS. So, but in this clip, they also talk about ISIS. They talk about the increased activities of ISIS. So in Burkina Faso, there are terror groups. The terror groups uh, are supported and given arms by the French government and by the United States Army, resourcing all of these terrorists in order for them to gain access to these countries. Queen Cynthia Malupisi, Royals afternoon. Thank you very much for joining. King Victor Shongwe says, why are they still following him after paying off the IMF debt? Eh, exactly what my point. The reason they still following him is because of the de-dollarization project. You know, when now the three nations are not going to use dollars to transact, it's a problem for Donald Trump. When the minerals that they are so much looking for uh, to create their industries, now in the new technology, minerals are even more important for them to be able to compete with China. Africa is actually what everybody is fighting for. All the wars that are happening across the world, it's actually wars that wants to take Africa. They want to recolonize Africa. That is, those the wars in Ukraine. Those are the wars that whoever wins wants to get more minerals from Africa. Want to be closer to Africa because Africa is a intensely resource continent by nature. Africa is intensely resourced. So they want to take all these minerals and only have the natives, the owners of the land, as human cattle, as literally human cattle. The people of the country becomes just human cattle. Let's talk about the issue that has happened in the DRC. This is a very painful story. We all know that the DRC has never had peace uh, since the invasion by white people in the 1400. If we have to go back to history, the DRC has never had peace since since Africa was invaded by white people or the aliens, if we may call them that, because they were alien to Africa. Their behavior is actually even still alien to Africa. So since Africa was invaded by the aliens, which are white people, the DRC has never had peace. During the King Leopold's reign, many people in DRC have suffered massively. There was no other colonial master who was as cruel as King Leopold to their people, to the colonized people. He has shown the cruelty, the worst cruelty of the Europeans in the African continent is committed genocide in the DRC. The DRC is the richest country in the world. Looking at its mineral reserves, the minerals that are still in the ground in the DRC. The DRC remains the richest country in the world. Yet the people who stays, the population of DRC, the natives of the DRC are suffering like they're suffering. They've only become human cattle, while the foreigners or the people come in to loot their resources. The America, USA has come to an agreement with President Tshisekedi, Felix Tshisekedi, to get the minerals of the DRC for free in exchange for peace, because DRC is under attack by the M23 rebels. Donald Trump has already instructed the M23 and Rwanda to withdraw their troops. He's already instructed Rwanda to withdraw their troops from the DRC. The minerals which were supposed to be sold to benefit the people of the DRC are going to be taken by the Americans for free. It's chasing away the demon by using another demon. You are trying to chase demons, but you are using a huge demon uh, to chase the other demon. The mineral for peace in the DRC, I want us to look at the reason why President Felix Tshisekedi end up going for minerals for peace in the DRC, because this is very critical. It's going to be very critical. DRC is part of basically South Africa. It's part of um, Southern Africa. Before they divided Africa, we were all just one people. We were just united. We were just different kingdoms, but just one people. Different kingdoms, but one people. King Victor Shongwe says Zuma is not safe considering what happened to Lumumba, Sankara, Gaddafi, Sobukwe, Hani, and Solomon Mahlangu. President Zuma is not safe. Indeed, President Zuma is not safe, and he's well aware that he is not safe. He's not afraid to expose himself, not to be safe with these people. He's not afraid of death. He has given up his life to fight for black people. He's never safe. He will never be safe. They want him eliminated because he's very key in the in the Sahel state or in Burkina Faso. It's a big challenge because Traore and all the Traore, Goita, and Tian, who have taken power using military, have to defend themselves using the military to sustain the power. But the USA has got more military power to take down almost any African country, if we can say so, because Africa is very divided. Burkina Faso cannot even try to fight with America, it will be defeated. Uh, so America has got the power. They may be able to eliminate President Ibrahim Traore at one stage, um, maybe this year or in the near future. They will be able to. They can. I suspect they will be able to eliminate President Traore the way they are attacking Africa. that would be the start of the war in Africa. That would be the start of the war in Africa, because I don't think the countries in the Sahel states or the young people are going to stop and just watch it happen, or even across Africa. I don't think that would be the issue. So I was addressing the issue that Felix Tshisekedi find themselves in. The DRC, the DRC being the richest country in the planet. South Africa was in the DRC not for the interest of the DRC people, but for the interest of the elite in South Africa, for the interest of white and the black elite in South Africa. Rwanda armies, which, which are called the M23, are in the DRC as well. Uganda also, their soldiers is in the DRC. Burundi as well is in the DRC. Almost uh, Tanzania as well is in the DRC. Almost all the surrounding the SADC countries are in the DRC, but for their personal interest. In the DRC, there are more than 150 groups fighting to mine, uh, groups of individuals, so not even individuals, different groups who are well armed, who are fighting to take over the mining sector in the eastern DRC. That is the richest part of the DRC. That's where the thing is happening. So the Americans, President Tshisekedi, as we know, the M23 rebels, which were supported by the Rwandan armies, they took over some cities, the city of Goma in the DRC. President Tshisekedi went to SADC to cry about the first he wouldn't go to the eastern countries. What is this? Eastern countries, African Eastern countries union, which is Rwanda, Kenya, the DRC, and Uganda. It's and Burundi. These five countries. But these five countries, I think they all, the people who want to lead the DRC, the ethnic group of the DRC, it's Nguni people. The people who are mainly the biggest population in the DRC are Nguni people. But there are other groups who think that the Nguni people should not lead anywhere closer to Rwanda or Uganda or anywhere in Africa. And basically, Africa should be led by a group called the Tutsis or the Hutus. Um, those were the colonial way of ruling, dividing people into groups and implementing superiority over the other people. So that is what Rwanda is. The strategy of Rwanda is in the DRC. They wanted to take over. President Kagame wanted to take over the DRC to be able to have access to the minerals. So now the Americans, Donald Trump, have decided to step in and instructed. Instead, this one, Chisekedi, is using the minerals of DRC to protect his position or to protect his government, because the American deal does not benefit the people of DRC. The American deal for peace cannot benefit the people of the DRC. Unless if Chisekedi would do something else, which I'm going to talk about not so long. But the American have already instructed that Rwanda should withdraw its troops in order for the DRC to achieve peace, so that the American can start taking over the mines and mining for free. They are going to take the minerals for free. So as long as they still want the minerals, they will maintain the instability so that their relevancy will always be there. They will want to loot everything that the DRC is having to give them peace. They're the ones who are creating the instability and comes and offer peace to the people. Come as the savior and offer peace. In the past 48 hours, Traore has survived another assassination attempt. That's true. That's a fact. They wanted to eliminate him in the past 48 hours. A lot of people are said to have been eliminated in a particular village by another group, which is obviously sponsored by either the Americans in combination with the French government. Traore has got a lot of enemies who wants to remove him from power, wants to show, to lynch him publicly, to show that if anyone wants to rise against the giant, which is America, they are going to be crushed, and there will be no mercy shown on them. So President Felix Tshisekedi has taken the deal. Very sad, the deal is not going to be beneficial to the people of the DRC. But President Tshisekedi had no choice. He went to the SADC nation for help. We know what happened with the soldiers, South African soldiers who were beaten by the M23 rebels, who were well armed by the well armed and having all sophisticated kind of weapons. Um, the rebels, which are well armed and having drones and all of those sophisticated kind of, and also having a very powerful intelligence, supported by big countries, big European countries, and Rwanda, supported by France, and also supported by America. Now America comes in as a savior to give peace for the same minerals which are causing the chaos in the DRC. Chisekedi had no choice because the M23 was on its way to come and remove him if he did not agree to the terms which Trump wanted uh, for him to remain in power. The DRC is not only rich in minerals, the Congo River, which is the second largest river after the Amazon, the Congo River is said to be the most powerful location in the Inga dams in which hydroelectricity can be generated in the planet. meaning in planet Earth, there's no other place which can produce more electricity using using water than what we can achieve in the Congo River, in the Inga Dams. Congo can produce electricity and sell to the rest of the African continent. They can be able to distribute electricity to the rest of the African continent if they can generate, they can establish their hydropower, if they can invest in their hydropower, because the Congo River is one of the most powerful rivers in the planet. The Congo River is said to go to up to the depth of 200 meters deep is the Congo River. It produces more than 300 million liters of water per second. That water is fed into the Atlantic Ocean, it's emptied into the Atlantic Ocean. All that water can be able to supply the rest of South Africa or the rest of the SADC without a single person going without water a single day. If the leaders can agree to do a pipeline from the Congo, forming dams until South Africa, forming dams across Zambia or across Angola coming into South Africa. If that project can be taken uh, over, if Felix Tshisekedi sells the minerals of Congo to keep himself in power so that he can achieve peace, so that he can be able to work for the people of the DRC, I will respect him for that. The DRC can still develop without the minerals because the DRC has got a lot of resources outside the minerals, like the hydro energy that we are talking about, like the water projects that we're talking about. The DRC can start agriculture, can start massive agricultural development on its people when there's peace. They can start the generation of electricity when there's peace. But I doubt if Felix Tshisekedi has got that in mind when he goes to the US to sell the minerals of the DRC people. I doubt if he's got the DRC people in mind. The people of DRC are in deep suffering while their land is the richest land in the planet. It can produce, it's self sufficient, it can produce enough food for itself, it can generate enough electricity without going anywhere, it can develop technology. If the DRC can start saying that you can't mine and go, you have to establish the processing plant as Burkina Faso has done. If they say no mining and going, you have to do the processing in the DRC would become the first world country in just a year. It's going to, it would become very, very rich because companies like Apple will have to go to, companies like Microsoft will have to come to the DRC to work in the DRC. They will have to produce their computers and their phones in the DRC if that can happen. But the leadership of the DRC has got nothing to really do with about that. I think their interest is not. It's mainly not. Cynthia Malupe asking who is funding the groups. The groups that are found in the DRC, who is funding? The Americans are funding the groups, the Europeans are funding the groups, some African countries like Burundi, like some African presidents, corrupt African presidents, they also create their groups to go and mine in those places, in that place. So those groups have to be armed because it's a war there. It's just the survival of those who've got the strongest guns, uh, the people who are going to mine. So that's how they take the minerals for free. That's how they get to mine the minerals for free. All these companies which are there, the Apple company, the IBM, the Microsoft, all of these big companies which are actually in the DRC are the ones who are funding the terrorists, the ones who are funding the groups that are actually, they give them guns. The people who are actually mining there, those are the people who are paying those people for mining. So the Chisekedi did not necessarily have a peace. Have a chance. Chisekedi is Ngoni. The people who are attacking him are Hutus and Tutsi people. I think so, if I'm not mistaken. One of the two groups. Um, President Paul Kagame of Rwanda belongs to one of these groups. Just not sure because I don't really pay attention to. So they don't want somebody who is going to rule over the DRC. They want control over the DRC. Why do they want control over the DRC? Is because uh, in the ancient times, their kingdoms were overlapping to those areas. But when the colonial masters came, they just demarcated without considering who is staying where and who is doing what. Rwanda is more closer to there, has got a border with the DRC. So the DRC and Rwanda are not separated by any ocean. It's just a walk into the DRC or a walk into Rwanda. So when they're just to take a walk to the other side, there's so much minerals. When you can just walk for 10 kilometers and you get to so much minerals. So that's why these people, they want a piece of the DRC as well. They want the minerals as well because it's part of their area. It's part of where they were living in the ancient times when their ancestors were there. But when the colonial master came, drafted the demarcated Africa, they did not involve the leaders of African people at the time. May I ask, where is God in all of this suffering since Africans are churches as we speak, are in churches as we speak? uh, where is God in all of this? Let me show you. Very, very serious question. Where is God in all of this? So Chisekedi when he came to SADC, when he asked for help from Ramaphosa, Ramaphosa could not assist because he was as well instructed by his handlers that he should withdraw the armies from there because Rwanda is supported by the same people who are instructing Ramaphosa. So they instructed him to withdraw from the DRC. He had to chicken out. The South African army was beaten to hell by the M23 rebels or by Rwandan armies who were well equipped than the South African armies. They were defeated. So, and all of the side, the countries could not respond when he needed the help. He had to go to the devil. He had to make an agreement with the devil in order. Tell me what you think. He had to make an agreement with the devil in order to chase the demons. He had an agreement with the devil to chase the demons. So the devil comes in and instruct the demons to go out, but you remain with the devil. That is what is happening in the DRC. If uh, this is very critical because this is basically a recolonized. We can say America has successfully recolonized the DRC as we speak. The Americans have successfully defeated the DRC. The project of recolonization has successfully been done in the DRC. So, what is outstanding is other countries. The people who are talking about the Christian. That's why Ibrahim Traore says they wanted to make churches when they wanted to make churches in mosque and churches. He says, please don't invest in the churches. Let me show you the area where we need investment, which is agriculture. The people, the the investors, the ones who wants to build the mosque and the ones who wants to build the churches, are not interested in investing in agriculture where people are going to find help. God was used by the Europeans because the African was a God fearing man. So God was used by the Europeans in order for them to take over Africa. But God will not come to Africa to solve our problems. Somebody has to rise among you and lead and decide to solve the problem. The people has to rise and solve their own problem. If you are not going to rise and solve your own problem, even in your own home, you are going to be removed, you are going to be invaded, people will chase you away. When you build a house, somebody may come and chase you away if you are not ready to defend uh, yourself. If you are not ready to rise against those who want to take from you, then those who wish to take from you are going to take from you. You need to know ways in which you can use to defend yourself. As much as you know ways to create, you need ways to defend. people have become Christians. Initially, because Christianity was seen as it was modernization. It was modernization. Should the Europeans succeed to keep people Christian, then they know there's nobody who is going to revolt against the system, because all Christians cannot revolt against the system. Christians are taught to just comply. That is the challenge with the African continent. Please give me your opinion. Give us your opinion. Tell us what you think about what Felix Tshisekedi did in the DRC. Tell us if you think Ibrahim Traore is going to survive. I think Ibrahim Traore is going to be taken down by the American intelligence at some stage. I suspect he will be taken down. I don't know what is your view. And I think Donald Trump himself is going to be taken out. Somehow they will pretend, because they need a big event in order to create wars. They need a big event in order to create massive war in the whole world, which will be able to help them to take over the world. I suspect one of the events they may stage is the assassination of Donald Trump. Uh, I suspect that would be one event which would be able to start civil war in America and would make the Americans be able to attack the countries that they want to attack. But certainly a big event will be coming. I so much agree, my brother. I had that revelation during the lockdown. God created us to fight for ourselves. God will not send anyone to fight against the system. Only ourselves can fight our battles. Nothing is bigger than that statement, my sister. There's there's nobody who is going to fall from heaven. If President Zuma comes out to offer himself to sacrifice his life to free black people should take that offer and unite around him in order to defeat these people. The Europeans have never faced a united Africa since they came. They have been facing us in groups, different groups, one by one. That's how they have defeated us. If we can be united, they will not be able to defeat us. The MK party is calling for unity. President Zuma is calling for unity. Black people are refusing to unite. Some have got intellectual arguments, stuck in intellectual arguments why we should not unite around President Zuma. Some stuck in the system itself, believing that President Zuma is corrupt, which is created by the narratives that are on the mainstream media. If people are not clever enough to realize that the mainstream media is only to serve the agenda of white people and the oppression of to continue with the oppression of black people or the suffering of the slave, or continue to create human cattle, those animals that you just open for them to go and have some food and they come back, you close them in. That's it. That's what black people are to the system. Maybe Christianity was crafted to subdue us into perpetual suffering as long as fear is going to hell. Of course, Christianity was brought into Africa in order to subdue us, in order to create a defeated African, to create a defeated African and perpetuate that, uh, make him create more people who are defeated just like him, uh, make him ignore what is important for him, ignore the politics, ignore white people taking the minerals, only pray to Jesus, ignore all the economic activities which are happening around you, uh, ignore the stealing, only pray to Jesus for him to bring the answers. At the end of the day, Jesus is never gonna come and bring any answer to black people. Black people have to unite around the vision of President Jacob Zuma to take over South Africa and Africa and change our own lives. So the only hope now we have in Africa, I suspect it would be President Zuma, who is still not safe. But I suspect that President Traore will not be able to finish this coming year. I don't know if that would, it does not echo something to, but I have a feeling that he's not going to be able to to do up to the end of the year, to survive up until the end of the year, because they want him. They really want him. It's sad to know that the DRC has been captured again. Why did the president of the DRC go to America to get help? Which African leaders still think that way in 2025? Uh, Chisekedi had no choice because the people who are supposed to help him are the ones who are attacking him. The people who are attacking the DRC are the leaders of Africa who are stealing the minerals and selling the minerals to France. For instance, Rwanda is taking the minerals from the DRC and sell the minerals to the French people or to France, through Rwanda. Uganda as well is creating the instability there because Museveni is stealing the minerals as well, uh, in that region. So Chisekedi had no choice. He tried to come to Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa could not assist him because he was instructed by white people to stop what he was doing in the DRC. And he immediately withdrawn the army and came back home. So Chisekedi was left alone with the M23, which had, if he did not go to the United States for help, the M23 was going to remove him from power because they are well armed and more stronger than his armies. His armies are just running away when the M23 is coming because the M23 are seasoned soldiers and well equipped by the Europeans. So for him to save himself, this is the leader who is using the mineral resources to protect his position. But America, because he's working with America, is not a problem. The President Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso is using the resources of Burkina Faso, the gold minerals, to create jobs and to create educational infrastructure, roads, airports, hospitals, all of those things. The USA says he's using these minerals to protect himself, while Chisekedi openly is using the minerals to protect himself. They say Burkina Faso is using the mineral to protect himself. Ibrahim Traore. If you don't agree with them, then they will attack you, and there's no help. In the DRC, he's got no help. Those people want the minerals. They want to take the minerals. Come hell or sunshine. The Chinese want the minerals. The Americans want the minerals. The Europeans want those minerals. You can't defend it. They have to take it. They will come and take it by force. That's what they're doing at the moment. Going for the minerals. He had no choice. It was either he allow himself to be defeated by the M23 or get the devil to come and save him from the demons. So he's chosen the road to take to ask the devil to save him from the demons. He had nobody but to go to. He had no chance but to go to the United States of America. He also, yeah, he would also have a choice to go to Russia, but Russia. The problem with Russia, Russia has already invested a lot of money into wars. The main resources which are invested in wars, which people don't realize is quite important, is the young men. The young men of the country invested into wars. Those are the people who are getting killed, and those are the people who must form families, who must create families, make young women pregnant. Those are very, very important resources. And instead of them becoming being created or being programmed for killing, they're supposed to be programmed for producing, for creating families. So Russia has already stretched its resources too much. Uh, they have to be strategic on where they are assisting in the continent, because they don't have the armies anymore. There's a lot of people who were killed in Russian soldiers who were killed in Ukraine. Though, of course, there's a lot of people, Ukrainian soldiers who were killed as well. But the war has demanded a lot of resources and destroyed a lot of resources for Russia. That's why I say Russia will also crash. China will also crash. India will rise, and Africa shall rise. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining the live stream. Enjoy your Sunday afternoon. Thank you very much. Click the like button and subscribe before I forget. Please click the like button and subscribe if you are coming here for the first time. This type of videos are not distributed by YouTube. They are actually shadow bans. Many of them are shadow banned. So to help us to spread the message, we need to like and subscribe. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.